you're in the zone, and once you're able to have communication, you've got to know what things to ask. And so developed a protocol that makes sure that you ask all the right questions to cover all the different aspects of the human body. We don't just do organs and endocrines and things like that. We do meridians, we do chakras, we do past events, we do environmental factors, and the whole host of the factors that come in to affect our life both now and in the past that are contributing to the various illnesses we've got. So it's basically, you could say that protocol is like a roadmap, so that we can go down the right route and find the right way to get there. And you'll see a person there, they're in the zone, they're actually using the arm to ask questions at this stage, and they're using the protocol as to what questions, and according to the answers, they will start piecing together what we call a formula. Now, the formula is usually what we call links. They can be simple or complex. A simple link might be that we want to link the pituitary gland to the thyroid, because not enough TSH from the pituitary is getting to the thyroid. It's going elsewhere and not getting there, so you got thyroid underfunction. And there's been a fault that causes those to occur, and that could be active memories and things like that, which is going to be part of our treatment. But part of it is to re-establish a link. And what I established is that if we connect those two, and we can do it manually, or we can do it with our mind. We start out in your first training manually. We're saying, okay, we want that link to occur. And then we do a thing called tapping, where we do this gentle tapping on the head and tapping on the heart. Now, the tapping on the head, when you first learn it, and simple explanation is it's sort of activating the brain and saying, hey, look, fix this, get to work. But in fact, if you read my books and you study BodyTalk, you'll learn there's a much more complex, because when we put together a formula, some of their series of links and even actual formulas that have to run, the prefrontal cortex has to run, they're energy fields. They're actually morphogenic energy fields. And the body, the blueprint of the body, is an energy field. And what we have to do is we have to collapse our formula energy field into another energy field, superimpose it or collapse it from quantum physics point of view. And in quantum physics, when they're working with colliders and all that type of thing, the way they collapse one energy field into another is they pass a standing wave through it. And a standing wave is a very simple wave that in geography they call it a tsunami, which is, like a huge wave that moves along. And it carries information. It carries it because wherever there's a standing wave, there's also a torsion field that actually carries information. And so what I worked out is I had to, in order to get my formula to go into the body and bring about changes in the energy field of the body, I needed a standing wave. Very complex to do. You do that, you've got a standing wave. That creates a standing wave right through the body. It actually goes in all directions, so it actually sends it out that way too. And that'll collapse it. And then what you've done is you've changed the blueprint, but now you want to change that has to then change the physical structure. And it will do that. We know that if we have a magnet, we put paper and we put iron filings, we tap the paper and the iron filings will arrange in the electromagnetic field. You've done that in physics in high school. You move the magnet, they move. Well, your blueprint is an electromagnetic field. It's like a very powerful magnet. And you can equate your molecules to those iron filings, only they're much smaller and much lighter than the iron filings. So when we change the electromagnetic field by superimposition, and we change the electromagnetic, the way the waves are, it is going to then change the molecules. It's going to change their position and reshape the cells. The reason we keep tapping is because you've got to overcome inertia, same as you tap paper to help overcome inertia. Now the key factor here is to realize that all chemical processes in the body, in biochemistry and physiology, are physical processes. They're about physical things interlocking with physical things. So therefore, it is the physical shape of something that governs its function. Biochemical reactions work together, things get together, enzymes get together and create bigger enzymes and hormones, etc., by like building blocks, Lego. They actually just click together because of different shapes. So if you change the shape, you change the function. Hence, in energy medicine, if you change the shape of the electronic blueprint of the body, you will change the structure of the cells of the body, and therefore change its physiology and change its function. And as a result, this is how we can make a big difference. When the changes occur, we also know from other studies at the Heart Math Institute and other places that the heart itself is an energy field, very strong, and it's also a brain. There are neurons in the heart. And it has a very strong energy field. It actually has what we call a torus that is pulsating all the time. And what happens is changes that we make are stored in the heart, because the heart, through these electromagnetic fields it emits and through the bloodstream and other methods, it is communicating with all the cells. And that communication with the cells is what keeps the cells changing the way they do. This is an interesting thing because we don't always realize, but have you ever wondered, I certainly wondered all the time, but if you've got a really diseased liver, we know that the liver cells are constantly being replaced very fast. Every 2 days, liver cells replace themselves. And in a time of 3 weeks, we get a whole brand new liver. So how come, if we've imbibed in a few bottles of Scotch a night and things like that, and we've got cirrhosis of the liver, after 3 weeks, we can stop drinking for 3 weeks, we should have a perfect liver, brand new liver. And then we don't get it. We just get a brand new sick liver. You follow me? Or we injure our knee in hockey and we've got an arthritic knee, and that replaces in 9 months, so it takes a bit longer. But we get a brand new arthritic knee. That seems strange, doesn't it? And oftentimes, even when you give treatments in acupuncture and other forms, you often have to overcome some momentum because the treatment doesn't always hold, doesn't always last. And I eventually worked out that as the brain stores, the heart stores the information, if we want real change to occur, any formula has to be tapped into the heart. So we do this and then we tap that and collapse it into the heart. And when that does, you bring about the change. And that's why now with BodyTalk, I've treated people with liver failure, severe liver conditions, and literally 4 weeks later, they have a brand new liver and it's healthy. Because when you bring about the changes and use the formulas, the heart ensures, it sends the cells a message to say, this is getting better, you can get better now, things have changed. The reasons behind the problem have been corrected, the story has been corrected. Therefore, it's totally valid that you become healthy now. But the formula is there to correct the story, correct all those ingredients, and if it doesn't, that won't happen. All right, let's see what a formula looks like. We can put something together where we look at, okay, it might start out that we've got to correct and connect the liver to the pancreas. All right. So what we do is we look at that and we say, well, what's that about? And we'll define that link and we'll say, well, there's consciousness of worrying about planning because the liver plans all the biochemistry of the body, and the part of the brain the liver meridian goes to is the planner of our life. And the pancreas is very heavily involved in sugar metabolism. So we've got worry about organisation and planning our life, and this patient's also got sugar metabolism problems. This is based on a case I did, right, of a person who was actually diabetic. Okay. Then what I did is I added another set of formulas up here, and I had to link the kidney to the bladder. And the bladder, among other things, controls our sexuality, and the kidney is to do with fear. So when you had this, you have this consciousness of fear of our sexuality. So this woman had a major issue there. And so I put that all together, and I then added to it, it turned out I got that she was going through a period of her life she was in her 40s, where she had a fear of aging. And that tied in with her fear of sexuality. He doesn't like me as much, he doesn't love me, I'm getting old, I got wrinkles, and all that type of thing. And these were really big issues with her, okay? This is the timeline. These are things that have accumulated. The fear of aging and everything is a classic belief system that is implanted in us from an early age that, you know, I know when I was 16 and everything, and my parents were 40, you know, they were really old. And when I got to 40, you know, I felt young, completely young. I'm 60 odd now and I still feel young. It's all relative, okay? But of course 80 is really old, until I get there. Okay, then we find that there was a genetic factor going back to a great-great-grandfather where there was a consciousness of diabetes. In other words, there was a diabetic problem. In other words, there's a hereditary genetic problem that we had to tie in. And then, finally, I find out through asking her body, and then she was able to confirm it, she was abused as a child by her father. And that didn't help the whole ingredient. You know, that was part of the history that led to all this. So that was a formula. And that was telling her story, telling her way of thinking, her conditioning, her childhood abuses, her hereditary factors, etc. Now, there's some more complex little goings-on behind that formula that we teach you. But basically, when I tapped that formula in, that over the next around 6 weeks, her type 2 diabetes got better. Okay? So it can be very powerful because we address the issues behind it.